Falcon fans, and of course, good old Atlanta Falcon fans. You already know what it is. You already know what it do. One time for the fan, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon Podcast. Terry, we everywhere,
What's
man.
up? Yeah,
Big shout
man.
out to all the Atlanta Falcon fans in the building. For those of you listening tonight or this afternoon, for those of you watching later on, big shout out to you all. T Will from ATL Sports, one time for the fan here talking Falcons football. Big shout out to Miss Carey. Big shout out to Bodie Three Bands. Man, it's going down in a major way. Hope you all are feeling good. Hope you all are feeling great. T Will,
Yes, sir.
what's up, man? How you feeling since the last time we had a conversation here on One Time for the Fan about these Atlanta Falcons, man? How's everything going with former ATL Sports? How's everything going for you, sir?
It's going well, sir. Been busy, as you know. I was glad Debo and I decided not to do the show this morning, so I slept in a little bit more because I was. They were piling up on me, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Doesn't
They
it feel
were.
good to sleep, Terry?
Oh my god. Oh god, yes. Yeah, man.
For
Those
those that
show
do not know,
moms were
Terry is
piling up.
everywhere with this podcast right now. I mean, this is just Falcons off season as the NFL is still going underway. You got Braves coming up, Hawks are balling. I mean, Terry's a man of so many traits here, but I'm telling y'all, Falcon fans, when it comes to talking sports, Terry knows what he's talking about. T Will, man, what's good?
What's good, man? What's good with these defensive coordinators, man? How you feeling about the guys we interviewed so far? I saw yesterday we interviewed the passing game coordinator for Green Bay, which I gotta say I didn't like. You know, I honestly feel like
What?
this go round we need someone who has experience as a defensive coordinator, who's been through the show, who's been through the muck and mire, who's experienced the up and downs, who knows a thing or two. I'm not trying to promote some young passing game coordinator I know nothing about that Raheem has to groom. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I didn't like that.
I think what's going on, and of course, Falcon fans, you guys can agree or disagree. That's what One Time for the Fan is about. From the fan for the fan. Um, they got to get their candidates shirts going. Like they have to get these interviews in. It looks good for the NFL. You know, it looks good for for those watching that the Falcons are interviewing. You know, a decent list of candidates that could possibly
Mm-hmm.
be the defensive coordinator here in a
Mm-hmm.
short period of time. But if you go over the rankings of some of the coordinators the Falcons have interviewed already, some would have this guy up here, this guy down here, depends on his experience. Also, we have a special guest. Terry, forgot to tell you that our producer, Miss Carey, is going to be joining us too as well.
Miss Carey, baby.
Hey
What's
you
going
guys, how
on?
you doing? Happy Friday, happy Falcons Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Carrie. How goes it? All well?
It's going well. Happy to be
Okay.
here. How you doing?
I
Big
can't
shout out to
complain.
Miss
What I
Carey.
did.
What's up, T Will?
No. You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, big shout out to Miss Carey. We're just over here talking Falcons football on this beautiful Falcons Friday. We ain't doing nothing wrong. We ain't hurt nobody. We ain't bashing no players. So everybody's good. But yeah, Carrie, how's everything going for you since the last time we talked on One Time for the Fan? I know a lot of fans here definitely love listening to what you have to say when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons because you definitely keep it real. So how's everything going in your world, Miss Carey?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm really happy with it seems like every day, I look on social media and we've interviewed another candidate for DC opening position on for the Atlanta Falcons. So that's super exciting. I think we are now up to 6 candidates. I could be wrong, but I think we're up to 6 now. So that's awesome. I'm happy we're casting a wide net. We're looking at candidates from all different teams, all different, backgrounds. I truly appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good that the Falcons are going through this search right now to find their defensive coordinator. I know some fans are probably thinking, oh, it's only going to be this guy. Only go after him. But of course, there's a lot of defensive coordinators out here in the NFL that are looking for jobs. And you do have some guys like Jeff Ulbrich and Steve Wilkes, Lou Amaranu. Who else did they interview too as well? If I'm missing, Derek Ansley, Green Bay Packers. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Grady
what's it?
Brown, did you already say that?
Say it again, Carrie.
Grady Brown, the Steelers secondary coach, that was announced
Grady
today.
Brown, that was the one that was just reported just a matter of a couple of minutes ago that the Falcons will be interviewing him from the Pittsburgh Steelers too as well. Um, so Falcons, I mean, they have a long list of candidates. Terry, Steve Wilkes set to interview, I believe, coming up this week. Lou got his interview in. Jeff got his interview in. I mean, you feel a little bit good about just the search that the Falcons are, doing right now, right, Terry? It's the off season. Fans need something to talk about. With another name like Grady Brown just being added a couple minutes ago, more fans are starting to speculate if it's not going to be Steve Wilkes, who could it be? Right? Wink Martindale, too, as well, a name that we mentioned on the podcast the other day. But Terry, a couple more names added since we talked the other night. Your thoughts?
I just want somebody with some experience, man. We tried the new coordinator route last season or this past season. It didn't work out too well. I would really rather someone with some sort of defensive coordinator experience. And look, if you got to interview 10 guys, hey, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking either Wilkes, Anaramu, or Wink Martindale. I guess you could consider Brian Flores. The only thing about it, I just don't see those two personalities, meaning Flores and Raheem. I don't see those personalities meshing. I just don't. Now I could be wrong, right? But Flores seems to be about that life, and I just don't see he and Raheem meshing. But I don't know. Jack, have you heard anything about the Falcons potentially interviewing Flores or Carey?
Well, that name now being brought to the attention of some fans is definitely shocking because we thought Minnesota was going to be able to keep a guy like Brian Flores for quite some time. But there's a lot of NFL coordinators right now that can be shopping from team to team. So to see now Brian Flores' name, don't know if it's going to be for a defensive coordinator position. So I think it was the head coaching position he went to interview for. Is that what it was?
Flores?
That's
Flores.
correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
I'm thinking so.
So
The head coaching position.
right.
Carrie?
That's what I was gonna say. I only see Brian Flores leaving Minnesota if it's for a promotion. So he does have, or he already had, excuse me, interview today with the New York Jets for their opening for head coach. So that's the only way I see him leaving because I don't think he's getting fired. Minnesota made it to the postseason, even though they shockingly were a first round exit. They did go 14-3, so I think he's only leaving if he gets a promotion. Personally,
Yeah. And for the fans out there that's wondering about Lou and some of these other guys that's available as a defensive coordinator right now. I mean, there are good teams right now that have coordinators that's getting ready to leave the team soon. There are bad teams right now that's already been coordinators fired already. So you just got to get a guy who can bring a presence in this building, who can get the job done with guys like Grady, who can get the job done with guys like AJ Terrell, guys like Jesse Bates, and so forth. And I think people are really leaning toward, like you said, Terry, the Lou Amaranu guy from Cincinnati, Steve Wilkes, which is another name this week. I think fans want to see the interview Steve Wilkes go through, and then don't let him leave the building. That will probably excite fans the most. That'll probably boost this fan base going into the offseason, knowing that you have a defensive coordinator who has a track record of getting it done. So for Falcon fans out there, I mean, these names that they're adding to the mix this weekend, hell, they might even add the Cleveland Browns, I don't know, special teams coordinator to be in the damn mix now. You never know. But these coaches that they're adding, I don't think it doesn't add up to Wink Martindale. It doesn't get nowhere near Steve Wilkes. Even Jeff Ulbrich is a name you have to watch for too as well, because his relationship with the Falcons from the past. I'm hoping that Ulbrich wants more of a defensive coordinator role where he is in his life right now. you never know. You might be able, if he gets interviewed for a head coaching job somewhere and he takes it, go ahead and take it, Jeff Ulbrich. But fans want to see Steve Wilks in the building. I think if it's after Steve Wilks is Wink Martindale. But for Brian Flores, if he does become available for a defensive coordinator position and he does get interviewed by the Atlanta Falcons somewhere between now and next week, that's a tough decision to make.
That is
between Brian Flores and Steve Wilks.
Yeah.
Because now, and we talked about this when the first set of names came out, Kerry and Terry, we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we was waiting to find out who could be the next defensive coordinator for the Falcons after they fired Jimmy Lake. We had the Sunday night podcast. During that week, they announced some names. Big shout out to the Falcons writers, Tori McElhaney and some other great journalists that cover the Falcons. When they put that information out, we had the Wednesday podcast. We went over some of the names. Now, as you can see, days later, there's a lot more names being added to the mix. So if it's Flores, if it does become available, something definitely to look at. Steve Wilks, though, right now is my guy. Terry Carey, if the Falcons, if some way, somehow, Brian Flores does become available, seeing the season he had with the Minnesota Vikings. I know Steve Wilks is a master in this game too as well, with what he can call as a defensive coordinator and the positions he can put these players in to succeed. But who would you go with on that level of Brian Flores or Steve Wilks?
That's tough.
Who would I go with, or who will the Falcons go with?
Well, who would Kerry go with? Because we know, hopefully the Falcons, if they are listening,
Oh, okay. Well,
pick up on a few
Falcons, if
things.
you're listening, you go with the best candidate available, not necessarily who your buddy is or previous relationship. So I say that to say you go with Steve Wilks or you go with Brian Flores. Honestly, I don't think you could go wrong. I think Flores would be probably the most. I don't want to discount Steve Wilks because I really like him and I would like him as our DC, but I just feel that Brian Flores, I mean, look at their defense over there in Minnesota. He's proven to be a really good coordinator and arguably a good coach as well. So for me, I just think it's one of those things, like it's a Sala situation. I'm not even considering it really, just because I feel like it's not attainable. I feel like they're both going to want to go for head coaching jobs. Sala, unless he goes back to the 49ers, I think he will get a head coaching gig. And the same goes for Brian Flores if he does leave, which I don't think he'll leave unless he goes for that Jets job. So that's just my opinion. But have you guys seen what D-Led, he wrote an article today? I don't know if you guys saw that, but
yeah, I saw him post something mentioning Jeff Ulbrich was, I guess, leading the search.
Right. And I wanted to see how you guys feel about that. His exact thing he said was regarding Falcons DC search. We have Jeff Ulbrich as the leader in the clubhouse after 4 interviews between Lou, Wink Martindale, and Derek Ansley. Steve Wilks next week. Who do you guys want? And obviously, we all know that the comments were overwhelmingly for Steve Wilks. But is that what he thinks? Like, is he hearing chatter, or that's his opinion, the leader in the clubhouse?
I mean,
Because
I also
for
have
me,
a question for the group too,
for me, that's kind of disappointing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Well, how do you guys feel?
I think because Jeff Ulbrich's ties to Atlanta in the past,
right?
You can say he's probably leading in the clubhouse. He's going in there shaking hands of people he's already been around years ago. Because still a lot of people in that room that was there when Jeff Ulbrich was there too as well. And you still have Raheem, of course, Arthur Blank, Rich McKay, some of those guys that's up there too as well. They know Jeff very well. You haven't interviewed Steve Wilks yet.
You haven't.
Right? So because that interview hasn't happened yet, this is just an opinion from D-Led. Because right now, leading the search between Jeff, Wink, and Lou, and Derek, and Grady Brown, I think is Jeff Ulbrich. Yes, and that's what some fans have said they're scared about. I've seen the tweets and seen some of the posts on social media saying, I'm worried that the Falcons are going to go hire the friendly hire, which is Jeff
Right.
Ulbrich, and run
Right.
back to 2016. But fans on the other side of the fence are like, no, we're getting ready to riot if you guys don't hire Steve Wilkes. So, I mean, here's a quick question for you, Kerry and Terry, as we talked about this one too that D-Led tweeted this morning. How come Robert Sala's name hasn't been in the mix?
I think he's interviewing for head coaching positions.
I mean, what was going on with the 49ers, though?
I think they wanted him for a D coordinator, but
I think
Just like
it's the
Salah's
same.
name is only linked to the 49ers. Is there anything else going on with Salah right now that we've heard?
no, I know he's going to interview for the Jaguars. He has at least 2 head coaching interviews.
Right.
At least 2.
Okay. So as you can see, there's some coaches out there like Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale is not interviewing for any head coaching jobs, right? I mean, Lou Amaru is not interviewing for any head coaching jobs. Some coordinators want to remain coordinators. As you see Brian Flores doing the Jets thing, it kind of makes you think, well, Flores might not want to be a defensive coordinator more. He really wants a shot at being another head coach in the NFL. So let's just say Steve Wilkes, he's not getting interviewed for any head coaching jobs right now. It seems like he's the defensive coordinator pick for Atlanta's interview this week. And I think the Colts are bringing him in too.
Yeah.
So the Falcons, you can't let him get to Indianapolis. And that's one thing I want to talk about in a couple minutes too, the Indianapolis Colts. Because something happened the other day that is very important for the Atlanta Falcons fans who love to travel to away games. We're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. But Terry Carey, Derek Ansley, some of these names, as you see D-Led's tweet. Terry, do you think Jeff Ulbrich is leading this candidate search?
Well, I mean, D-Led's been doing this for what, 30 plus years. So
respect to D-Led though. He does do this,
and he's all, he's in the mix. He's all around that, the media room and stuff. So maybe he's heard chatter. It doesn't say that his leading candidate. It says the leader in the clubhouse after 4 interviews.
But honestly, I think before they hire a defensive coordinator, I think there would be a second interview, would it not?
Man, the funny thing about it with Steve Wilkes is, and even some of these guys like Jeff Ulbrich, like Raheem knows these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So your first interview, what are you asking in an interview? Didn't we go over this like last year when we was going over the coordinator search? What is being asked in the interview? You're not asking them, what did you eat for breakfast? I mean, you definitely might ask, what'd you eat for breakfast? How was traffic? That normal.
Hopefully they're asking what Terry's been concerned about. Like, for example, to Jeff Ulbrich, why is it that once you took over, the defense plummeted over there in your recent, DC position?
Well, that's not a buddy type of question, Karen.
Well, that's what they need to ask. It's
one that needs to be asked.
Yeah, it's a job interview.
Yeah, you need to be able to speak to that.
Carrie, come on, when
Raheem's
it comes to the friends, Carrie.
Raheem's job is on the line.
No, she's right.
The friendship type of interview is different than the guy who walks in that you do not know.
I'm sorry, but
this is my buddy walking in. This is my guy. What's up?
Well, then that's what the problem is. Then that's what the problem is, in my opinion. If that's what Raheem is doing, then I'm sorry. That's not cool. You
do the same kind of for Steve Wilkes. The picture that you shared, Carrie, that's forever gonna haunt me if you don't hire Steve Wilkes, because Steve sat out last year. He's sitting over there with the Falcons training staff during the offseason. He's watching the team during training camp.
Right.
And then the following year, the defensive coordinator position opens and he's available. And it's like, just do the right thing, Falcons. Just bring the man in, make the man the defensive coordinator, and we can get this thing rolling early. Because you don't want to wait until after Super Bowl. You don't want to wait until March. Like there's some NFL events that's going on, for these coaches and these teams that starts just not too long after Super Bowl. So you want to get your defensive coordinator locked in pretty quickly. I know some teams are probably going to go into that late February period looking for their candidates and their interviews and all that shit. I don't want the Falcons to do that. I want to go ahead and lock a guy in, close to the Super Bowl, which is in the next 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, it's interesting to see who the Falcons are interviewing right now. I'm not even looking at Derek Ansley and Grady Brown, even though they are interviewing them. I don't have them high on my list. And honestly, I would be shocked if the Falcons brought in those two guys, or one of those two guys that they recently just announced to be the defensive coordinator. Because with all the candidates that you interviewed already, hell, if you're going to bring in Derek Brown Ansley and Grady Brown, you might as well go and get Jeff Ulbrich then. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of shocked at that point. Terry, your thoughts on this defensive coordinator thing, man, as we move on to something else shortly?
I just think whoever you bring in here needs to have depth, needs to have a deep understanding of defenses so that you can adjust your scheme to the personnel that you have, right? Look, you can have the greatest scheme in the world, but if the players don't fit that, then you essentially have what you had last year. Maybe in some cosmic universe, Jimmy's system works, but it did not work with the personnel that we have. And because of that, he's not here. So, I like the fact that Wink has experience in 3-4, 4-3.
Yep.
I like that. I really like that because at the end of the day, that is what you want. You want a defensive coordinator that not only can scheme games for weaknesses of quarterbacks, but again, can consider, okay, I have two guys that play well in man. I have two guys that don't. Let's do this, right? You have to be able to consider that. That's what the best coaches do. My father used to tell me a long time ago, a good coach can take his team and beat your team, and then turn around and take your team and beat his. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you have to understand defenses at a cellular level, at a molecular level, so that when you take a look at all your personnel after the draft and after the free agency signings and everything you got, you can come up with the best defense, right? So whoever can do it. I know Jesse swears by Lou. They have that connection. So, and maybe that's why he got an interview, because the captain of your defense raves about it. Again, I'm okay with Lou. I'm okay with Wink. I'm okay with Steve Wilkes. Because ultimately, I don't have any power anyway. Falcons are going to do what they want to do. If they do Ulbrich, I'll probably bitch for a week, but it is what it is. It's about the name on the front. But yeah, those would be my candidates. Everybody but Jeff. Sorry, Jeff.
No,
well,
I'm with you, T.
My name Jeff.
No, I'm with you, T. Will. Honestly, I put a post out there on Twitter just to see. I wanted to get a feel for the fan base because when they announced that, I was not surprised because, we know how big the Falcons and Raheem and Terry and Arthur are about relationships. So it wasn't surprising the Jeff Ulbrich interview is just, for me, it's disappointing just because I think there's so many better candidates out there, respectfully. And so I just put a tweet out there like, hey, how do you guys feel about this? Like, am I the only one who really does not want to run it back with them? And I got like 118 comments. I think I had maybe 2 or 3 that said I wouldn't mind it. All the rest would say no, thank you. So
there you go.
I think you're not the only one for sure.
Yeah.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe buttons. Going down in a major way. Miss Carey, one time for the fan. T. Will from ATL Sports, one time for the fan. Talking Falcons football. Lunch with one time for the fan. Missed breakfast, so we're doing lunch. Terry, I'm sure you're going to cover dinner. You got anything going on later on tonight, Terry?
I do. I have.
He said it. He said it just so I do.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Another show, another podcast for all you diehard fans.
No, man. No, it's not beer gang. So Friday evenings with former ATL Sports One are typically, maybe one-on-one, just interview type, kind of like the show I did last night. I did a show with actually 2 Bills fans that actually were the first to let me do a podcast probably about a year and a half ago. And I did a show with them. And basically, the Bills are in the playoffs. I didn't
Bills
do it live.
fans.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one. I
keep
gotta
those
catch that.
fans definitely close to former ATL Sports. And one time next year, the Falcons playing the Bills. Would love to have a conversation with these guys during that time.
Of course.
Are they in the Atlanta area? Are they in the Buffalo area? Where Terry? Give us a
One
little
of them is in the Atlanta area. The other is in Chicago. So they have a show called Between Two Studs because their last name is Stud, right? And they talk about everything. They talk about sports. They talk about anything in life, you know. And it's a pretty good show. But anyway, they gave me my first interview, so I promised them. I said, "Look, it guys, when I get my channel up and running, I'm going to have you on it." And I was able to make good on that promise last night, so it felt good. But it was just an interview type thing, and that probably will be what tonight will be like. It'll be myself and Jordan from Ultegacy.
Nice.
And you know, we'll just be going over football matchups for the weekend. You know, who we think is going to win, predictions, that sort of thing. It probably won't be that long of a show. You know what I mean? But just like Fridays to me are just like, you know, let's just sit down and we're in our living room and we're just having a conversation. It's not the hustle and bustle of a morning show that I typically do, right? So, but yes, to answer your question, yes, it'll be at 7 p.m. tonight.
That's good. That's good. I know last night you was live too as well with A1. Got a chance to come over there on Former ATL Sports and chop it up with your
great
fan
show.
base over there. That was great. That was
You
great.
think so? Thank you.
I mean, I was taking care of some stuff at work too as well, and I got a chance just to step away for a minute and chop it up with you all because as I'm listening, I want to talk Falcons football, but I'm taking care of some things at work.
Right.
So it's like, just try to find that moment at my job where I'm like, man, if I just get 10 minutes so I can just talk some Falcons. I just said F it. I just went ahead and just put the AirPod in and went live and started talking with you all. And it was great because A1 is sharing his facts and knowledge about the Atlanta Falcons and the defensive coordinator and the future of the Atlanta Falcons. And that's what it's all about here. So, you know, one time for the fan, from the fan, for the fan. We're glad that you all enjoyed the podcast. Because we're going to keep this train rolling here. One thing I do want to talk about before we get to the next topic, really two things I just want to talk about quickly is there's a lot of things that's going to be happening this offseason with the Atlanta Falcons. As you can see, the defensive coordinator search is underway. I'm sure some fans will probably be shocked if they go hire a defensive coordinator and then a couple days later they need an offensive coordinator. Let's just say Zach Robinson wants to hit the road and go somewhere. But it looks like from right now, from what I'm seeing, Zach Robinson will probably be here next year to, you know, be the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. So they seem to be on that running back type mission. And of course, our special teams coach, Maurice Williams, is going to be down there at the Shrine Bowl as the head coach of the Shrine Bowl.
Congrats to him.
And that's big congrats to Coach Williams. Who's done an outstanding job here in Atlanta as the Falcons special teams coach. But here's the biggest thing about the Shrine Bowl and being the head coach. My boy Coach Williams gets a first look at a lot of these players that's going to be coming out into the NFL. So he can easily go over there and give a call on the side like, all right, guys, 10-minute break. Hey, yo, Terry, look, let me tell you something, dog. Bro, they got this dude named Simpson over here. Number 43. Hey, man, we need to draft him with that third pick that you got. You never know what could happen, but Coach Williams is going to take a lot of notes. He's going to see a lot of things from players that he can go back and talk to Raheem and the rest of the scouting unit about and say, look, I saw these guys early. Of course, they've been watching these guys on film since college, but the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, these games, a lot of these players come out, you know, to take the extra step to make to add just a couple more stars to their name. And it's a big shout out to all the players who's going to be playing in those two games too as well. But Coach Williams, being the head coach of the Shrine Bowl, congratulations to you, Coach. Go out there and let's find some talent. You never know. Let's just say we do draft somebody who plays in the Shrine Bowl. Now we know that Coach Williams had, you know, pretty much first look in that draft process. You know, to bring him in. So big shout out to Coach Williams there. And another thing I want to talk about too as well, and this is something for Kerry, this is something for Terry, for everybody here on the One Time for the Fan chat. Who is going to be the backup quarterback next year? Right? Because if we're going to be getting ready to ship Kurt off, right, I just want to show y'all what I saw this morning of the 2025 free agent quarterbacks. that's going to be available here. And it's another thing to talk about in the offseason, Falcon fans, of who could be the backup quarterback in Atlanta. Because I know some fans are pretty much done with Kirk Cousins too as well. Kerry, you have Justin Fields from the Steelers. You have Daniel Jones from the
Oh
Vikings.
no,
Russell
I'm
Wilson
sorry.
from.
I just got stopped right there. No Justin Fields. This
Oh, I'm
fan
sorry. I
base
don't want
would
to
be
hurt
in
nobody's
turmoil.
feelings.
It'll just be too crazy if we, after all we went through with all the Justin Fields chatter. No, I'm sorry, we cannot.
Yeah, I know some fans won't be too happy about that. Jaguars, Mac Jones will be available. Jameis
No.
Winston, who posted a crab leg
Okay,
eating video
Terry's gonna
recently.
say no. I already suggested Mr. Eat the W's. He said no.
Uh, Terry,
Jameis is
Drew
weird,
Lock.
man.
Jameis is weird.
Jameis is weird, man. I promise you. I promise you, somewhere in his basement there is a doll head that was ripped off of a doll,
Stop.
and yeah,
Stop.
I'm getting Dexter vibes. Man, do you guys remember
No.
season 1 of Dexter, the ice road truck killer? That's Jameis. Okay,
Oh
that
wow.
dude is weird. He gives me the Sams and the Willies, the creepy creeps. I just don't like him. He's weird. And if you listen to his former teammates, they confirm that, right?
Oh my goodness.
Because
Yeah.
that eat the W story, there's more to that, Jack, and it's weird.
Hey Deke.
Okay. Have you guys heard his teammates talk about it?
I haven't
It
heard
was
the teammates talk about it, but I
Deshaun,
know
Deshaun Jackson and Gerald McCoy were talking about it on Deshaun and Shady McCoy's show.
I saw that recently,
And-
right? That was kind
right.
of new. Yeah.
And what he said, and I'm not gonna say what he said, but dude is weird. Okay, he's a freaking weirdo. Whatever, Kim. Kim is like, you said weirdo 1 2. He is a weirdo, Kim. He's
you're
a
saying it too
weirdo.
many times now, Terry. It's starting to become a problem.
He just gives me creepy because here's the thing. You see him on the camera, and 1 minute he's like, and then the next minute he's like, God told me. And I'm not saying God, look it. I worship the Lord every day. I'm a preacher's kid. But this dude gives me creepy. He's a creep. I don't like him.
Sheesh.
I don't like
I guess
him.
that's 2 thumbs down for
I
old
don't
I told
Jameis
you he
here
was so against
in
it.
Atlanta.
I do not like Jameis is a creep, man. I'm telling
Some
you.
of these names, though, you got to look at it, Kerry and Terry, and think, well, if it's not Kirk Cousins, who is going to be the backup?
I see
Because I don't think
Marcus
they're going to
Mariota
draft the
there.
guy.
Marcus Mariota's right there.
Why are you just playing with us, Kerry? Why are you just trying to get me riled up today?
So wait, we
Playing
can't
the
hold
role
on.
of
The funny
Ronald
thing about it
Thomas.
is we can't bring in Justin Fields because some people will be mad at that, and you can't bring in Marcus Mariota because, of course, the past of Marcus being here in Atlanta. People probably wouldn't want Jameis Winston because, like Terry said, he creeps him out. And of course, the situation with him being with New Orleans for that last play of the game where he decided to pretty much taunt the Falcons. And then Russell Wilson, I don't think he's going to be a backup here. He'll probably end up either staying with the Steelers. Either he stays and Arthur Smith goes, or one or the other. Daniel Jones probably going to be a backup. Don't see him as a NFL quarterback, and he's an expensive ass backup too as well. I'm not taking that deal. Drew Lock, probably not. Seeing the way that we played against him last season with the Giants, he's not that good. But then again, you end up beating the Colts the week after. Joe Flacco might be the retirement train for Joe. Jimmy G.
Just give me Jacoby Brissett and let's be done with it.
Yeah, I think Jacoby Brissett might be my pick on this list. There's going to be other quarterbacks too who's going to be available, I'm sure, in a matter of weeks. But Jacoby Brissett from this list,
I'll say Jacoby.
If you had to pick two, Kerry or Terry.
Flacco and Brissett.
I'll say Jacoby and Jimmy G.
Jimmy G,
but he's so injury prone.
What?
He is injury prone, but he's had some success.
The Gymster?
He's had some success. I mean, Flacco is old, man. Flacco is as old as me.
Bro, Flacco was somewhat cooking later on in the season.
Right? Sheesh.
And then Father Time caught him.
Then he had to escape the pocket.
And then Father Time caught him. I mean, hey, look it. I mean, Okay, so no Russell, no Daniel Jones, no Justin Fields. Is Sam Darnold even going to be? Are the Vikings going to resign him? Like
No.
you
In
don't
my
think
I
so?
opinion,
don't
no.
know,
He
man.
lost
Sam
himself.
Darnold,
He just lost himself multi-millions of dollars those
the
last
last 2
games.
games, and it's crazy, Kerry. And for those in the chat, we're gonna get to the chat too as well. Bring your comments, talk about the coaching staff, talk about defense coordinators, everything. But Kerry, it's crazy because the past couple of months, you saw the Vikings just shred through the NFL. Damn near every team they was playing, and then they got to the end of the season where Sam Darnold pretty much had the meltdown the last 2 games. And then to hear the coach's comments from the Vikings sounds like, damn, y'all not gonna bring him back after what he gave y'all this season. The Vikings. I can't remember the last time the Vikings even had a record like this. And Sam Darnold is a big part of that. But for Justin Jefferson, that's going to suck for him too as well, because now it's on to another quarterback, right? And that guy is kind of like, he's not in that Kyle Pitts mode. He's definitely a step above. But Kyle Pitts played with a bunch of quarterbacks too as well.
So they said they're not bringing him back? Like you heard them?
Just the comments from the coach at the end of the game versus the Rams, the look on Sam Darnold's face, even just playing up because he got sacked 10 times. Was it 9?
Yeah, he got sacked a lot, man.
You didn't plan for that most of the season going up against the Rams at the end of the season to get beat like that.
My man was on the carpet a lot.
And just imagine if Sam goes becomes a backup quarterback somewhere else. Even for Sam Darnold right now, you got to think he doesn't want to be a backup quarterback right now. He wants to go get a starter job again. Look what he's done with the Rams, with the Vikings. And there are some teams, I think, that will look at Sam Darnold and say, you know what? He might have that Baker Mayfield moment. We're going to give him a shot. The Vikings, don't forget the guy JJ too as well. And I've seen a lot of the Vikings posts of some of their fan base. They seem to love this JJ McCarthy move, that he could be the next quarterback for the Vikings future.
Same like Darnold, you are a Raider.
She says, Sam Darnold, you are a Raider.
I'm not joking. I think that could seriously happen. I said, Sam Darnold, you are a Raider.
You are a Raider.
Welcome to Vegas, baby.
Welcome to Vegas. Damn.
Well,
damn.
It's kind of possible. You think Tom Brady will go after a guy like Sam Darnold right now?
It's possible because aren't they trying to target the offensive court? Who are they? I could have swore that the Raiders are high on somebody from the Vikings coaching staff for their head coaching position opening. Could be wrong, but then that guy could easily bring Sam Darnold. I truly don't think they're keeping Sam Darnold. It's either Sam Darnold as your future or JJ McCarthy. It's not. You're not doing both. You're not keeping both. So
yeah.
I think they're ready to move on.
And for these young quarterbacks like Michael Penix and JJ McCarthy, and even for what's the guy in the Patriots, Drake May, like this is going to be the future of the NFL. You're going to have young quarterbacks coming out all the time, but you do have some of these guys that, these fan bases are expecting to play at some time. I think fans really expected Michael Penix Jr. to play sometime this season. They got it late in the season. Now fans are excited after seeing just the 3 games, what he can do next year, what Zach Robinson can do to help Michael Penix lift his game to the next level, right? And that's going to be big for this fan base. It's going to be big for the NFC South, really, because the Saints will probably go look for a new quarterback too as well. I see them probably drafting the guy this year because they're going to go get a new head coach too. So that's going to be another young quarterback in the NFL. You got the Falcons with Penix. You got Bryce Young with Carolina. Baker is a veteran in the NFL, so I probably see him with the Bucs there for quite some time. And that's your NFC South.
Hey, Jack, speaking of Penix, I tried to go on NFLshop.com this morning. I was going to buy my first Michael Penix Jr. jersey in the throwback unis, and it was sold out in medium and large. Because I was like, okay, I usually wear a medium. I could get a large. No, they're both sold out. So I agree. Falcons fans are really excited about our future quarterback.
And that's good. Yeah. And that's good because looking at next year, Atlanta Falcon fans, and we talked about this already, I think on the last podcast or the podcast before, with One Time for the Fan, the Atlanta Falcons schedule in 2025. And if you look at how we played this year versus some of the teams that we'll be playing next year. If you just kind of look at the win-loss percentage and, you know, all the other stuff and the stats and the breakdowns, I do see the Falcons going to the playoffs next year, playing against some of these teams that we have. Because we play the Jets next year. So you can see the Jets, they haven't been that good recently. We also play the New England Patriots, who are 4-13 this year. They haven't been that good recently. The Indianapolis Colts, we also play. And it's very important that Falcon fans pay attention to the international games that they keep talking about. I think Miami, Carrie, was just announced today that they'll be playing in Madrid.
Wow, they're going to be playing in Madrid
They'll be
at the
playing in
Bernabeu, I
Madrid,
believe. That's an
and they will be
iconic
the
stadium.
home team, Carrie. That's the cool part. They're the home team.
Right.
The Falcons do play the Miami Dolphins this year, but we are the home team for that game at the Mercedes-Benz. So no Falcons in Madrid. But the Indianapolis Colts and the NFL, they just recently announced that they will be playing the first ever regular season game in Berlin.
That's going to be versus the Falcons.
Now, Carrie, I'm glad you said that. Big shout out to Mike Conti here, who also reposted it. And said the Falcons have a road game against the Colts next year, and coincidentally also have marketing rights in Germany, which I think a lot of Atlanta Falcon fans know. So it's very possible that the Falcons could be playing in Germany next year versus the Indianapolis Colts. We do have them as one of the away games. And as you can see with the announcement that the Colts will be the home team in Berlin, we are now a part of that list as to who the Colts could be playing for that game. And the Falcons, with the marketing rights, obtaining them last year before the season started, and now you could be possibly going to Germany next year. It's going to be a large group of Falcon fans who's going to be going to Germany. I can tell you that right now. I saw us in London. I saw how deep we were. I saw the Jags. That's why I keep calling the Jacksonville Jags the London Jags. Damn near everything around Wembley was just Jacksonville Jaguars. From the billboards to the stadium to everything was just, I know they were the home team that week, but they also played the video in the stadium of the owner, the team owner, of when he got the Jags and how he came over from Europe and everything, and like just what he's done to the Jags and what that market means in London for the Jaguars. So just seeing all that with Jacksonville had me calling them the London Jags. Yes, we got our ass kicked that game, but going into this season this year, if the Falcons do play that game against the Colts in Germany, that's a dub. That Colts team hasn't been good in years. Looking at some of these teams, look at the schedule next year. The Panthers, okay, I know we went 1-1 with them. The Saints, I know we went 1-1 with them. And the Bucks, I know we swept them. And they won the division. The Rams, we can get them. The Seahawks, tough team to beat, especially with the way they played you guys last year. The Bills, another tough team. Dolphins, you should be able to beat them. Commanders, you honestly could have had them, especially if you would have got the ball first in overtime. Or if someone would have called timeout. Could have had them. The Cardinals, you should beat them. Of course, that team in the past couldn't beat them with Desmond Ridder, but this Michael Penix team with Drake London, Bijan Robinson, that's a dub. The 49ers, 6-11, that's a dub. The Patriots, 4-13. That team, the Patriots are just in shambles. The only thing you're dealing with when you go to that New England game is the fan base, honestly, because they're going to be pulling 28-3 jokes all throughout the game. But that Patriots team, that's a dub. The Jets, 5-12, that's a dub. Can't even call that Vikings game because they've been pretty good this year. But the Colts, that's a dub. That's playoffs. But Falcon fans, next year's schedule, if you're traveling to any games, just be prepared because the Falcons could be playing in Germany against the Indianapolis Colts. So Falcon fans, just want to let y'all know that. But yeah, Carrie, Falcons, Colts, Germany. Carrie, you interested in that flight? Or Terry, you Trying to make your way to Berlin
Oh
this year?
no.
Absolutely not.
He has to start small. We got to get him on
Thank
a
you.
flight to Florida at least,
Thank
or
you.
New Orleans, or
Thank you.
you
Or
know.
Savannah.
You got Jack over here trying
Yeah.
to kill me, man. I met
Oh,
boy. I will,
sheesh.
man. I will turn that plane out. You talk.
Hey.
Jack, it's a kind of off subject, but I do want to
Yeah.
share breaking news that the 49ers are prepared to make former Jets head coach Robert Saleh the highest paid DC in the entire NFL. We will make you the highest paid defensive coordinator in all the land if you sign with us.
So wait, who was reporting this?
This is Don Kleiman.
Oh
But
God,
that's the
Dove.
first one I saw it. Yeah, Dove. It's all
Kleiman.
over though. If you just type in his name, you'll see it.
That's how you gotta say his name, Dove Kleinman.
But Matt Barrows, who is like a well-known 49ers beat writer, he said on a podcast actually yesterday, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
He said for the 49ers, it's Robert Saleh or bust, really, because they haven't done much work with anyone else to this point. I've heard that they already told Saleh, we will make you the highest paid defensive coordinator if you sign with us. It's now a matter of waiting for Saleh.
Yep.
So
See it right here. So, and it's funny because you look at this candidate search for the Falcons defensive coordinator, and you wonder why Saleh's name wasn't even in the mix. Some of these coaches know where they want to go, where they want to be, you know. And hey, if it's gonna be Robert Saleh heading out to
San Francisco,
we're going to be seeing him next season. Sheesh.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
And Matt Burrows, he writes for The Athletic too. So, you know, the Athletic is a respected, trusted source. So if it's going to be Robert Saleh in 49ers country, then it is what it is. But a lot of teams are going to be making changes. The head coaching position at the New England Patriots is open. We play the Patriots next year. The Jets head coaching position is
open. I think
open.
they filled that one, didn't they?
I think they did. I think they.
Is it Vrabel now? Is it Vrabel?
Yeah, it's official.
Okay.
We signed and everything. Yeah, it's official.
Because I didn't see the parade yet in New England, so I'm guessing hasn't been announced yet. They just parade for everything out there. Vrabel's the head coach. They're just going to throw a parade. I'm sure TB's probably going to show up for that one too as well. Keith Simmons is in the chat. Chat is live. Chat is lit. We love talking with the fans. So we'll go over the chat for a little bit. We jump right into the topics this afternoon. Keith Simmons in the chat. Family, we can agree that we don't have a winning culture. A lot of Super Bowl coaches call plays. Why can't Raw call plays at least until we establish a better culture on defense? Hot take, Terry.
Look, if he can handle it, to be a head coach, man, that's a lot. But I
just think he doesn't want to do that, and
I don't think he wants to do it.
Yeah, he wants to be more so just the guy in charge, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's all about collaborating. So I don't. I mean, which it's not necessarily a bad suggestion, but I don't think he wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
And again, I would love to just see what Steve Wilkes could do.
Well, hopefully we can find out this week what Steve Wilkes will do. If he leaves Atlanta and heads to the Indianapolis Colts for the interview, I'm sure his name will be thrown around to a bunch of other teams too as well. So if that's your guy, got to go in there this week and get him. Big shout out to the Atlanta Falcons for even putting Steve Wilkes' name in the interview process. Now, if they would have went through this whole entire DC search and didn't bring in Steve Wilkes for the interview, then I would have been a little bit upset. But let's see what we got here, Falcon fans. Georgia, Texas boys in the chat. What's good one time for the fan? Jack T. Will and Carrie and Falcons family. Georgia, Texas boy is a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan.
What up, Georgia, Texas boy? What's going on?
He wants to let you know, Terry. He hopes his wink.
I wouldn't be mad at it.
I wouldn't be mad at Wink.
He's very experienced, and he looks so tough and mean.
Yeah.
That might be what our defense needs, like I mentioned on the show yesterday.
Yeah. It's one of those moments where Raheem might turn around and say, where the hell is Wink? And then Caden Ellis is wearing the damn headset and Wink's in the game with his helmet on. Like, oh, shit. He can still play?
Yeah, Wink looks like he runs with his shirt off in 10-degree weather.
Sheesh.
Like, he just has that look, like,
Lisa Shepard's here in the chat. They interviewed a lot of head coaches, too.
Lisa!
It was like 15-plus people. The Falcons are definitely extending their search to a lot of coaches here in the NFL. And of course, Derek Ansley, Grady Brown. I'm sure there's going to be a couple other smaller names they're going to announce. If not today, then over the weekend and Monday, Tuesday. But the Steve Wilks interview hopefully is in person. Hopefully, they don't do the virtual interview with
I feel
Steve
like
Wilks.
that's why maybe they're waiting.
Okay.
For next week, maybe.
Yeah, because you can get a virtual interview in tonight, like right now, like 2:42, between 2:42 and 3:42. Hey, Steve is on the line. All right, come on, we got him on the Zoom.
Exactly.
That's easy. Yeah. But to know that Steve doesn't have nothing lined up between now and then might interest some Falcon fans too as well.
Don't let him leave the building.
For me, it's clear that he wants to be a part of this organization. He has not given up. This is his third try. Yeah. Third time's a charm. Yeah. I mean, he really is interested in being a part of the organization. So, and he has a resume. So,
and I don't want to go back into the past to jump straight to the future, but imagine if Steve Wilks is on the sideline last season at training camp, knowing that if Jimmy Lake doesn't get this defense together, he's out of here. Right? Like, just imagine if Steve Wilks knew that at that point. Like, hey, look, Raheem's my buddy. I've coached in this league a long time. I know he hired Jimmy Lake. But if Jimmy can't fix this defense, it's a 1-year deal in and out. And then here goes Steve Wilks next year now, getting his interview for the defensive coordinator position. And the cool thing about it is, Terry, like what you mentioned, I mean, now is like his time to be the defensive coordinator. Right? You've interviewed the past, 4 times and didn't get it for different positions in the Falcons organization. Mm-hmm. He wants to be a part of the organization.
Yeah, clearly.
Now, here's your opportunity. Oh, guess what? We have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Steve Wilks. Oh, Steve. How easy to get. Bro, come on and fix this defense. Okay, we interviewed Jeff. We all know Jeff. We interviewed Wink, which I think is the top candidate too as well. You got to put Wink up there. You interviewed Lou too as well. Yeah, he has ties to Jesse Bates, that Cincinnati defense over the past couple of years, Trey Hendrickson, those type of guys he's coached. But I think Steve Wilks can get, what Raheem wants out of these players, right? And if it's not Steve Wilks, then my next guy would be Wink Martindale. So Falcon fans, this is going to be a great time. It's going to be a great offseason. But Terry, look what we got to talk about. We got to talk about the draft, right? We got to talk about the backup quarterback situation here in Atlanta. What are they going to do with Kirk Cousins, right? Kyle Pitts. This is all things we have to talk about in the offseason. Players who's going to be staying and going. The free agency, right? The cap situation, right? The upcoming schedule for the Atlanta Falcons. When the schedule releases in May, right? Look at all these things we have to go over here. That's why one time for the fan, from the fan, for the fan, we're going to be here talking with you all every step of the way. Yeah, we might miss a breakfast show, but we got a lunch show. We still want to talk Falcons with you. That's the cool thing about it. We want to talk about these birds. And the thing that sucks is tomorrow we have to watch 2 more playoff games. And the birds ain't in it. They need to have some red and black on that TV, man. I'm telling you, it's just not the same without that red and black on there.
Well, the good news is the Bucs won't be on there. So
but that's true as well. The Bucs will not be on there.
I can take solace in that.
And I was in Minnesota for that whooping too. The Vikings won't be there too. I felt good watching the Rams whoop the Vikings. I lost my parlay, but I felt good watching the Rams whoop the
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. Georgia, Texas boy, I want Wink because he doesn't have any head coaching aspirations. That's true. I think where Wink is in his life, he's in the 70s?
No, he's 61.
He's 61?
61. They want to put it out there that he's 70, but he's 61.
61 and a guy who's been in the defensive room most of his career. Yeah, I don't think he wants to be a head coach. A lot of guys would have taken their shot 10, 15 years ago and would have tried to do it over again.
Yeah, Wink looks like the drill instructor from SEER for Navy SEALs.
Sheesh.
Welcome to SEER. Which is it surveil, evade, reconnaissance and
He
something else.
just looks like he will chew our players out. Like if they miss a tackle, if they blow coverage, he's gonna chew you out and get you right. And I just feel like that is truly what our defense may need. Um,
You
no
know,
disrespect to our defense, we got some tough players there, but I just feel like, do we really have some like dogs, some like real mean, scary players?
there's always just been something about a defensive coordinator from the Baltimore Ravens.
Right, because
Like
they've
that
had
defense
top
has
10
always
defenses.
been nasty,
Right.
some way, somehow. Like even back there in the Ray Lewis era, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, some of the guys that they brought in, even after that too as well with Aloni Nada. Like some nasty players they had on their team. Like Bodie was talking about, bringing those guys that are gonna pick up your car in the parking lot and flip it over, but go out there in the field and make 17 tackles. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you got to bring in some guys that's like some dogs. And I ain't gonna lie, the Ravens had them for the past couple of years. The Ravens might even sneak a win this weekend over the Bills. That team is
I
damn
don't
near
know
complete.
which way. I don't know
I
which way
hope they
that game's
do,
gonna go.
but
That
I
team is
saw
damn near complete.
Zay Flowers has been ruled out for the second game in a row, so that's tough.
Hey
Might be the
Siri,
Derrick Henry show, but
cancel the Zay Flowers parlay.
oh, what?
Yeah, don't worry. I thought I was muted.
Oh wow.
One time for the fan.
Oh wow. But
Gotta get
I
the money.
mean, I'm rooting for personally my pick. Who's you guys' pick? If you got to pick someone right now, money line, who you picking? It is in
Ooh, wait.
Buffalo. I feel
Tomorrow,
like
Ravens
Buffalo.
Buffalo. I ain't gonna lie, Carrie. I'm going
Okay.
with the upset. It's gonna be a snowy game too, as well. I heard it's snowing right
Right.
now in Buffalo. I'm
Right.
going with the Ravens for the win. I think
I,
Lamar has taken this team to another level this year. And there's two possible MVP candidates playing
right.
against each
It's
other
gonna be
too as well.
good.
It's gonna be a
It's
great
gonna be
game.
good. It's
But
gonna
the
be a
snow's
great
gonna mess
game.
it up though. If it's gonna be snowing like, like you know what I'm
Right.
saying, like a blizzard, like man, nobody want to see that. Like
I know.
get the
But I
snow
do
out of here
love
for
a
3
snow
hours.
game.
Let these boys play.
I do love a snow game though. It just looks cool on the TV. But
Yeah.
it is a Bills home game in the snow. Ravens are now missing their wide receiver one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I have a gut feeling the Bills are gonna win, but I want the Ravens to win because I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. So
Even though they're missing Zay, they still cook pretty good without Zay.
yeah, it is true. That is true.
Like there's so many players that have stepped up in that position, and shout out to the Falcons too as well. I remember during the season when Drake had got banged up a couple times, Cordell Hogg stepping up his position. And I just Chris Blair sometimes, Ray, so big shout out to some of these players with the Atlanta Falcons organization. But seeing the Ravens, that team is stacked. I think Derrick Henry can probably go for a buck on the ground tomorrow, or Sunday. I think when they play tomorrow or Sunday. Is it Sunday? I think it might be
Who
Sunday.
is it?
The Ravens Bills. They play Sunday
Sunday
or
night
tomorrow
football.
night? Sunday night.
Yeah.
I think Derrick Henry could probably go for a buck on the ground. Mark Andrews is the guy you got to watch too as well. But yeah, I mean, I got the Ravens. I'm gonna take the Ravens. That Chiefs game, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. Kansas City. I mean, I want Houston to beat. I really want Houston to upset them.
Yeah, but Houston's not going to be able to beat the refs, Jack.
Yeah, that's the problem right there too as well. Plus, I'm sure Taylor's gonna be in the house. You know how that stuff works. That's Taylor's spirit over there in Kansas City. I think the Chiefs will probably take that one. The Chiefs, I don't see them winning the Super Bowl this year, though. So they'll probably win this one and lose the next game to whoever it is going to be, the Bills or the Ravens. But yeah, Eagles, Rams. Kerry, I'm telling you right now, seeing the way the Rams played the Vikings, I might have to take the Rams on this one.
Only thing about that, man, Eagles have the best defense in the league.
Yeah, but the Rams were just, bro. Matthew Stafford was just cooking.
He was cooking,
and that's a
that
pretty
defense
good
got
defense.
9 sacks. I mean, I could.
Bro, you get 9 sacks on the Eagles tomorrow. It's over. It's over.
Well, and plus, I think Jalen Daniels is. I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts. Is hurt. I think.
I think he's
still injured. I think he's still injured.
That's what I was going to say, T-Will. I was going to say it's going to come down to how Jalen Hurts performs because their last game, he had at halftime, he had maybe 39 yards at halftime.
Yeah.
So, that's not going to cut it in a playoff game. So, yeah, hopefully I mean, that game, I honestly don't care as much who wins, to be honest, between whether it be the Rams or the Eagles, but we'll see.
Falcon Commander in the chat. Marcus Might
Falcon
can play
Commander.
better under Coach Raheem as backup quarterback. He's
Oh,
playing good
wow.
under DQ as backup quarterback. But Falcon Commander, what are you saying here?
He's saying Marcus Mariota, QB2, like I said.
Fans don't want that, Commander.
I don't think that would happen. I was joking. I truly don't think that with how he kind of quit on the team, I don't think we're ever bringing him back respectfully.
Bitter beer face.
If you get the bitter beer face, if you get something like Ryan Nielsen interview this week, I can see fans saying, "Oh, Ryan Nielsen, okay, well, yeah, I can see him coming back." If you get somebody like Marcus Mariota back in the building, fans are like, nope, not happening.
Those folks will be ready to revolt.
But then again, it's not even like a Madden move. Like Marcus Mariota's family, like they've already been here in Atlanta. They already know the fan base. They know the culture. They know what's going to happen on the sideline. I'm sure it's not going to happen. Like he didn't leave here on a term where it was like, yeah, let's bring him back. We'd love to have him back in the building.
That's what I'm saying. Didn't he quit on the team essentially?
He did.
So I don't think they would
exception
even
with Fitzpatrick or with Minka and the documentary, the Netflix thing, and all this stuff. And man, I was just like, you know what, it's over here. But then again, the next quarterback that came in didn't really help out either. So
I love Desmond Ridder.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe. 82 money Carlos said.
Wait a minute. What's his name? Let me stop. You know what? Let me stop. Okay, go ahead.
Is that gaming Germany a for sure thing? The Indianapolis Colts have been announced as the home team in Germany, and the Falcons played the Colts this season in Indianapolis as one of the away games. So seeing that they're the home team, and of course with season tickets going up too as well for the Falcons fan base, I know a lot of people has been talking about that too. I'm sure Eric, your brother, talked about it. I haven't mentioned it much. I'll probably talk about it more on a Sunday night podcast. But yeah, the season ticket prices have went up, and a lot of fans are upset because the product on the field is not matching the price of what they're paying. So there are some people that are taking to the social media, and they're expressing their concerns about the season ticket holder pricing. I'm sure they're probably going to take money out of my account any minute now, so I need to go ahead and make a call to my rep and find out what's going on here.
Well, Jack, they did win 8 games last year.
Oh yeah, one more game.
They won 8.
One more game
before they won 7, but last year they won 8, Jack. So
yeah, we'll see. Next year 9. I'm just like,
don't say that.
9 would have got you the division though.
Oh my God,
could have had it.
Oh, sick.
You could have had it. You could have beat those Carolina Panthers. You could have beat those Seattle Seahawks on that 3-game losing streak. You could have made those kicks in New Orleans. You could have, would have, should have. Dre Harrison, the 2024 season, Terry, we're focused on 2025.
That's what we're doing. We're looking ahead, Jack. We're looking ahead.
We can laugh at the 2024 season, but now we're focused on 2025.
We can laugh with pain in our hearts. And
quickly, Terry Carey, 2025. New defensive coordinator. Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson, Drake London, right? Jesse Bates, right? New draft picks coming in. I think it's going to be 5 now. For those that did not get the update, Daniel Flick. Big shout out to Daniel Flick. He's been on the podcast before. He does great things for the Falcon community, writing for Sports Illustrated 2, covering the Falcons. But he posted this morning on Twitter, Carrie, did you see it? That the Falcons do have the 5th pick due to the Taylor Heineke trade. It hasn't been announced just yet, I guess, all over the draft board ranking. I don't know how that shit works. But Taylor Heineke, he's, I guess, projected to give us a 6th or a 7th.
Right. They said most likely a 7th, but still, that's another pick. I mean, we only had 4 picks, so
I need him on the field. I need the 7th on the field.
Oh, wow.
I need the 7th on the field week 1. We need players.
Okay, well, that's a big ask because I don't want to tell you what happened with their draft picks this last draft.
He said he needs the 7th round pick.
on the
on
field.
the field, and I'm
Oh,
over here saying we
man.
barely could
Week
see
1.
Brandon Dorless. We
Yeah,
couldn't see Rube.
okay.
We
I know we couldn't even get down there. But I do think with the
Yeah.
Falcons cap situation and of course how they have to build back this roster, you will be seeing, at least those first 4 picks somewhere along this season on the field. Because you're not going to be going out there buying a bunch of free agents up in free agency. This ain't like splash season. You don't have $100 million to go work with. Yes, Scott Karisic did put out a tweet recently. He's a great numbers guy. About how the Falcons can get to 50, 60, 70 million. I think it's possible. If they work along those ranges, trying to get there to like 30, 40, you got to secure, some restructures and some things. But I think the Falcons can go into this offseason getting some key pieces in areas that they need through free agency to fit like their starting roles. You go get your cornerback 2 through free agency.
Does that
Right?
mean there's gonna be no Mike Hughes? I think you keep Mike Hughes personally.
I think so too.
Personally.
But it'll be a reasonable price tag.
Yeah, you'll
You
be
don't have a lot of
reasonable.
money.
I know. I
If
think
Mike
it's
Hughes wants to stay here on another 1-year deal, don't forget about the players. The players
Right.
are also getting, their
I mean,
agents are getting calls here and, hey, go show up to the camp, to the Colts interview and, go reach out to the Dolphins. And, I mean, it's kind of like Calais when people wanted Calais here, right? Calais went down to Miami like, I'm finna go chase a ring down there with Miami. Tyreek them look good, So, I mean, we want these players here.
We
You know
only
what I'm saying?
paid him $3.2 million last year. I think we try to keep him another year.
Well, that is good
We
to
don't
know
have much of
because
an
I'm glad you
option.
brought that number up because if we can keep him in that range and still get him, but let's just say Mike Hughes say, you know what, Raheem, dog, I need about 5 next year, big dog. 5 mil? Yeah, man, I need
Okay.
about 5, bro. 1-year deal. All right. And what about the Detroit Lions, bro? Detroit Lions gonna give me 7. 7 mil?
Okay. And
Clark
my
Phillips
response,
it is.
my
I'm sorry, go ahead.
response to that is that, hey, AJ, hey Jesse, can you go talk to your man over there, your buddy?
Right. You
Tell
make a call to the other
tell him,
guys.
come on, man, we got to keep the crash out crew together.
Make a call to the other members of the crash out crew. Hey, you guys want to go take Mike out? Take Mike to Magic City real quick, man. Go pick up some wings.
Some
Gotta
lemon
keep
Talk to
the
him about
crash
this
out crew
contract.
together, honestly.
It'll be great to have some of these guys back in the building. The run it back mentality for some of these players and coaches. I think Terry, you agree. We want some of these players back in the building, right?
Mhm.
We don't. I mean, some would say Justin Simmons is on that fence. It's like, do you want Justin Simmons back? Do you not want him back? We can go over that this offseason here on One Time for the Fan. That's what One Time for the Fan is about. From the fan, for the fan, April Thomas, Dre Harrison, 82 Monte Carlo. Well, 82 Monte Carlo, that thing. Hey, Terry, you know about the 82 Monte Carlo.
Yes,
They
sir.
joker riding, but
Mhm.
that
It
82 Monte, that joker riding.
It is riding.
I had a
It is
73
right.
Impala, man. I'm telling you, man. Had that Superman windows, 350 big block. Boy, I tell goddamn I-20. Christy Lewis, Jonte Rozier's in the chat. Georgia, Texas boy, Damian Edwards.
Hi,
Come on.
everyone.
This is great, Carrie. Like to see everybody here on 3:00 on a Friday afternoon. I'm sure some of you guys are at work, in the gym, grocery shopping. I don't know, cleaning up the house. Maybe just sitting there watching the podcast. But it's great that you all can talk Falcons football with Carrie, with Terry, former ATL Sports. One Time for the Fan. Gonna go ahead and wrap up this podcast here, but we're gonna be coming back Sunday night, and I think that's right before. Yeah, that's right before the Ravens game. So that should start around 8:30 for that Ravens Bills game. We're going live around 8. So come talk some Falcons football with us before Sunday night football. Terry, Carrie, I know you guys have a lot going on this weekend. Carrie, what you got going on this weekend?
Well, I just want to say that game it's weird. It's actually early. The game's at 6:30, so I don't know if we'll go
6:30.
live after the game ends or 6:30.
Well,
So it's
I'm sure some people's gonna be tuned into that. What time is the game gonna be over? 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9? Like 9:30?
yeah,
9:30 probably, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Sunday, and the first game starts at 3. So damn, that first game runs right into the second game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try Sunday. Might be able to do like a Sunday afternoon, maybe podcast. So that way we don't cut into the game. We want fans to enjoy this off season. We're not pressuring nobody to come. Like, you got to be here for One Time for the Fan. Like, we know what you guys enjoy. We know you guys love the content. So if you guys want to come back and talk Falcons football with us, you got to hit the subscribe, hit the like and the share, Facebook, YouTube, all over, right? So you guys can find out more about One Time for the Fan. And Big Dre Harrison's in the chat. Big shout out to Dre. He said, "What is our cap situation before restructures and cuts? We don't have much money, so we got to be strategic." I believe. Carrie, did you see a tweet? We're seeing 7 million right now. It's
7
5 or
million.
I
6.
think 7 million.
7 million.
7 million. But Scott Karisic, you know what? We got to get his call to Scott. Terry, I know you're supposed to
get him
get
on the
Scott.
show.
We got to, because Scott's a numbers guy. He's been on the show before. Thing about Scott is you got to start the podcast at 1 so it can end at 7. Because Scott, when he gets into the numbers,
oh man,
he's going to start with Kirk Cousins' number.
He does not stop.
And then he's going to end with Zach Harrison's number. Right?
I
He's
love
going
him
from
though,
A
man.
to Z.
He's detailed, but he is going to go from A to Z.
Terry knows it. Carrie knows it. When Scott talks to Falcon fans, he's being realistic. Right? He's a numbers guy. But he's going to tell you different ways, different scenarios of how the Falcons can do this, this, and this to obtain this player, to keep this player, cut this guy, strategically restructure this guy. I'm not a numbers guy. He goes in between the lines. Scott Karisic, you definitely want to check him out. I'm going to go ahead and put his information up here on Twitter. Because Scott, and I'm going to reach out to him so we can get him back on the podcast quickly. And Scott's so cool, man. You know, just even being in London last year or the year before and just walking around by Buckingham Palace, and I'm over there taking pictures and got the family and everything. I look over and Scott Karisic, what are you doing over here? So big shout out to Scott Karisic. Got a chance to, you know, like I said, have him on the podcast, and you know, we talked Falcons football before at an away game. So that's Scott Karisic right there. You definitely want to go check him out on Twitter. He also still writes for, I believe, for Blocking Dirty still. And he's just been a great guy here for the podcast and for the Falcons fan base. But when he does say some things to keep it real, some fans might get upset, right? Like he's going to talk about, you have to cut this guy. You got to cut him. You get rid of him. His numbers. He's not even going to go and get, Carrie, you know about this. He's not just going to go into the numbers of his contract. He's going to go into like his PFF rating, his everything of why this guy hasn't been. He's very knowledgeable of the game. And, you know, big shout to Scott Karisic. And that's the good thing about it here on One Time for the Fan. We will bring the people that you guys want on the podcast, right? Because I know these content creators out here, you guys do a great job. And I've seen Steve Weich on Berto Them podcast, and I've seen John Abraham on Dirty Fanatics United podcast. And you see these people everywhere, right? So it's like, if we can get, you know, some knowledgeable people on our podcast that fans will enjoy, that's what people want to come back and see on One Time for the Fan. Miles Garrett is coming back on One Time for the Fan too as well. Talk to Miles, so he'll be back here talking some Falcons football with us. Do I want to bring Miles on around the combine? Because Miles is the big combine guy too as well. People have combine questions. It's the off season. Miles is busy. Guess what happens in the next month and a half, Terry? The Braves kick back up. So Miles is going to be very busy. Right?
Yeah.
Trying to make it to spring training. You know, spring training's down here in Florida.
It's right up the street from you, Carrie. A couple baseballs might end in your backyard. Like
I got a lot of Tampa Bay Rays fans in my family, so I'm trying to go to that Rays versus Braves game.
Yo, Terry, we can get like front row tickets for like $1, bro. We might want to make that trip, bro.
We might have to do it, man. We might have to do it. Plus, I don't have to fly. I can drive down. So
that's true. That's true.
Can I also say shout out to Retro G in the chat? He's watching One Time for the Fan from the airplane. Shout out to him.
Oh, Retro G, what's up, man? Hey, we appreciate that.
Keep it real with us, Retro G, man. You watching the podcast from the plane. Everybody on the plane, what's up, y'all? Rise up. You see? We repping them birds. You already know what it is. It's 24/7 with us. Big shout out to Retro G, man. Big shout out. Retro, I know you're probably going to hit the road this season too as well. We got a lot of away games coming up, man. Just get your bags packed early, man. When that schedule drops in May, you know, we're going to have a nice little schedule release podcast. Probably book some away game events too as well, so y'all can see what's going on. But definitely got to make a run real quick. Got to go pick up the kids from school. So quick shout outs when we get up out of here. Miss Carrie.
Shout out to you, Jack. Shout out to you, T. Will. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Millie Mills, Christy Lewis, Falcon Commander, Retro G, everybody, if I missed you. It's not that I forgot about you. Just so many people in here supporting us. I appreciate you all. Hope everyone's happy and healthy and you have a great weekend. Rise up.
Rise up, Will. Hey, man, thanks to you. Thanks to Carrie. Appreciate sharing the screen with y'all. Glad we got a chance to have this lunch with One Time for the Fan. Hey, to everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. Could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to spend this time with us, so we appreciate that. We appreciate you, and hey, keep coming back. And to Christy Lewis, hey man, I'm working on that Mississippi Get Back dance. So I didn't forget about you, Christy. Let me see what else. Who else I want to thank? Okay. Thank God, appreciate it. Wouldn't be here without him. And hey, last but not least, where can I be seen? For my ATL Sports 1, the number 4, my ATL Sports, the number 1 on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. And hey, man, Jack, thank you for giving me a shot in this business, as well as Eric Parker. And that's it.
Hey, Falcon fans, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Thank you all for being a part of the podcast today. We will see you all on Sunday. Just hit your notification button. I'm guessing sometime before the Eagles game. We want to make sure fans can, get a chance to watch, the NFL games this weekend without being bothered by, podcasts and all the other stuff. So we want to get started probably early then. So one time for the fan, from the fan, for the fan. Shout out to everybody, man. This is what's great about having this podcast, because people can just jump into a podcast and talk Falcons, right? We all want to win together. Let's do this shit, right? So tell your Falcons friends, tag your Falcons family. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you. Bode, you want to say anything? Bode. Good? You want to say anything? Thumbs up? All right, he's got to finish the yard. The sun is out.
Oh, wow.
Big shout out to everybody in the chat.
Shots.
Love y'all. One time for the fan, from the fan, for the fan.
Rise
y'all.
up.